Now, let's discuss the latest predictions from Mark Yusko and what he has to share regarding the future price action for the King Crypto. Let's break this baby down. Here we go. Morgan Creek Capital founder Mark Yusko says that a parabolic rise is on the horizon for Bitcoin as hundreds of billions of dollars worth of institutional capital is set to flow in. Let's go. In a new interview with Paul Barron Network, Yusko says that the King Crypto tends to add a zero to its price after its halving process. Facts. Bitcoin's halving cycle occurs every 4 years, as we know, when the rewards of Bitcoin miners get cut in half. The next one is slated for April of 2024, which is roughly only 6 months out. According to the hedge fund manager, Bitcoin's market cap could see a 1.5x increase from the all-time high. Quoting him here, so long story short, every halving adds a zero in the fair value. So we went from $100 to $1,000, then we went from $1,000 to $10,000. Now we go from $10,000 to $100,000. Send it. And he goes on to share. So fair value is $100,000, and we are trading at $26,000. It's a pretty rapid increase to fair value. Investors buy things that are below the fair value, but when that happens, in the fall post halving, you get this parabolic blow-off top. In the previous cycle, the fair value was around $30,000. We got all the way to $69,000. We hit that in November of 2021, fam. That was because there is too much leverage and too much gambling and speculation. I don't think we go 2x this time or 2.5x. This time I think we can get to 1.5x. And according to Yusko, the Bitcoin ETFs should be approved by the end of 2023 or at the start of 2024, which will pave the way for a large influx of capital. Yusko says he believes that $300 billion worth of capital can flow into Bitcoin once a spot ETF is approved. The Morgan Creek Capital exec notes that the amount of expected capital inflows can send Bitcoin's price skyrocketing, considering that most of the Bitcoin supply is either dormant or in the hands of the long-term hodlers. Quoting him here, $300 million on $100 million of free float. Price goes up a lot. Now let's break down his specific $300,000 price prediction, which he shared roughly a month ago. Yusko made the prediction while comparing Bitcoin to gold. Gold is not as portable or divisible, whereas Bitcoin is. The CEO of the $1.6 billion asset management firm explained, Bitcoin fixes both of these issues and is equally scarce. He also added, making the case that the digital asset could eventually catch up to the precious metals valuation. Quoting him here, the monetary value of gold is about $6 trillion. I think Bitcoin can replace all of that. The monetary equivalent of $6 trillion is about 10x from here, which gives us a price of about $300,000 per Bitcoin. He estimates that the $300,000 Bitcoin price could be reached by the year 2028, which means not the halving next year, but 4 years after that, the following halving, when Bitcoin will go through yet another halving event. So roughly every 4 years, the Bitcoin rewards the miners receive for successfully mining a block, as we know, are cut in half to control the blockchain supply economics. This event is known as the halving and is often seen as a positive catalyst for the price of the digital currency as it reduces inflationary pressure on Bitcoin. The next halving will be in April of 2024, followed by the following one in 2028. And by a show of hands, chat, how many of you have already experienced a halving, meaning you are already involved in Bitcoin or crypto back in 2020? Let me know. And how many halvings have you been here for? Like, for example, this is going to be my third halving event, because I got started in 2017. So I guess theoretically it will be my second full one, because I got started a year after the halving in 2016. In 2017, I saw the Bitcoin price go parabolic from $1,500 per coin to roughly $20,000. Then in 2020, I saw the Bitcoin price go roughly from $3,500 after the COVID crash to the following year in 2021 to $69,000, which is the current all-time high. So let me know your thoughts on this analysis. Yusko's bullish prediction hinges on using previous historical examples of how the price of Bitcoin behaved after each halving event. Every Bitcoin halving, we have added a zero, and by next April, I think we can go to $100,000 per coin. Yusko joins other the Bitcoin bulls who have recently predicted a higher price for the digital currency. Most recently, British multinational bank Standard Chartered predicted the Bitcoin price to reach $120,000 per coin by the year's end. Meanwhile, crypto services provider Matrixport said it sees Bitcoin rallying as high as $125,000 by the end of 2024. So there you have it. I also like to point out that Standard Chartered, guess who is the primary shareholder of that major bank? You guessed it, BlackRock, the world's largest asset manager in the world, that seems to be the primary shareholder in the majority of the companies in the S&P 500, as they currently control over $10 trillion in assets under management. So could you even imagine what's going to happen when BlackRock gets the green light and they can start accepting all of these institutional inflows because the ETF is finally approved? And then we have a dozen others to likely follow, like a domino effect. I mean, this alone is going to send the Bitcoin price action to uncharted territory as we reach new all-time highs. And even if there was no spot ETF on the table, take that away, just the Bitcoin halving alone is bullish catalyst enough to take us to new all-time highs. Because guess what? In the past, we've never had a Bitcoin spot ETF, so it's not going to change anything, but having it only makes us that much more bullish.